All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, guys, that's right, we're on purple now. We're on ST-18 for the new starter decks coming out in OP08. We've got Monkey D. Luffy here. We got some purple Straw Hat Crew action going on in today's video. Guys, I'm very excited about this one. I have mentioned it in previous videos. The support that purple Straw Hat Crew is getting is incredible, starting at OP08.5 and moving on from there, guys, going into OP09. Okay, so let me go ahead. Let's just go ahead and dive into this real quick. Actually, let me say this. This is part 4 of what will be a 6-part video series on all of the new starter decks coming out in the middle of OP08. So we're talking ST-15 all the way through ST-20. I will link the ones that are already done in the comment section below for you to get caught up on those or check those out if you have not already. And excuse me, and of course I'll have everything timestamped and, you know, all the relevant links in the comment section and all that good stuff. Okay, guys? So now, with that in mind, let me tell you what we're getting into today, guys. This will be the same formatting as I've been doing for the others. First, we're going to check out the deck list, you know, everything that comes in the starter deck, ST-18. And then from there, we will hop over to the sim. We're going to check out 5 games on the sim. Okay, those games, the first 2 are going to be me piloting this deck right out of the box. Okay, so that's going to be... You'll get a good feel for how the deck works and how it functions and what you can expect from the deck, okay? Like the style of it. Then the next 3 games will be the starter deck with a few improvements, right? Souping it up a little bit, making it a little bit stronger. Okay, and then we'll end off the video with a full deck critique. I'll show you guys the deck list that I was using. We'll review it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about some potential improvements going forward. Okay, so you know what you're getting into, guys. Let's go ahead and hop straight into it. I will have everything timestamped, like I said. Let's do this. Okay, first up, we have the leader here. I'll read this first, and then we'll go through the cards. Now, if you're a newer player, which these videos are definitely geared towards the newer players, I'm not going to read all of the older cards that we already know about. If I go over one and I skip over it without you knowing what it does, just pause the video and read it, because I will flip through each one. But I think most of the cards in here are new cards, in all fairness, so we will probably be going over each one of these. Okay, let's do this. So, Monkey D. Luffy, this is a purple Straw Hat Crew type character, 5,000 power, 5 life, very standard, very average stats. The effect is activate main once per turn. You may add 1 card from the top of your life cards to your hand. Well, wait a minute. So we're losing a life card, right? So we're going from 5 life to 4 life, but we are getting the card to our hand. But check out what it does. If you have 0 or 3 or more Dawn, that's very specific. 0 or 3 or more Dawn on your cards on your field. Add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So purple is really usually it's really built around the theme of Dawn manipulation, like increasing your Dawn or taking your Dawn away to get powerful effects and things like that. So in this situation, I will go over this more as we get into the video, but just understand this. Basically, starting on turn 2, you can start taking your life once per turn to add an extra Dawn card active to your field. Okay. So it has Dawn ramp built into the leader effect, which is very powerful. Now, let's keep going. Next up is Usohashi. This is like Usopp, right? 3 cost, 4,000 power, 2k counter. He has an effect that's not super relevant for what we're going to be doing here. There's actually a new Usopp that's Straw Hat Crew and purple. That's a little bit better, but hey, it's still a 2k counter we can use, right? Dawn times 1 when attacking. If you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. That's also a new thing I've been noticing in purple for those who are new to the game, or for those who are not aware, even the more veteran players. They're trying to put a lot around that 8 or more Dawn clause, and it's interesting. But hey, if you do have 8 or more Dawn cards in your field and you're attacking with this guy for 5, you know, attach 1 Dawn and swing, you can rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. That's very relevant. But the main thing is he is a 2k counter. That is the main point I want to stress with this card. Next up, we have Orabi, right? This is Robin. 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter. Check this out, guys. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards, remember what I was just saying with having 8 or more Dawn. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Okay, purple with some KO, and it's really not that bad. A 4 cost, 5k body that pops a 3 or less. It's not horrible. It might not be incredible, but it's not horrible, right? And I will give us a quick spoiler, guys, a quick little spoiler warning. In OP09, so we're talking about 4 months, almost 5 months away from us over here in the West, there's a new leader coming out, Purple Black Luffy, okay? Think about combining potentially, I'm not saying this will be how it's played. Excuse me, sorry guys. But imagine combining cost reduction with this card, and that's in the black color, like the black cards. This could be very powerful in a deck like that. Okay. Next up is Jinbei. We got a 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter blocker. These are all going to be Straw Hat Crew, by the way. That is the main theme of this deck. Okay, but he's a blocker, and check this out. On opponent's turn, if you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, this guy requires you to have 10 Dawn cards on your field. This character gains plus 1,000 power, and that is on your opponent's turn. So he is a 5 cost, 7,000 power blocker on your opponent's turn if you have 10 or more. If you have 10 Dawn cards on your field, so really, really solid blocker here. By the way, keep that 5 in mind, guys. That will come up in a little bit. That number 5 is actually more relevant than you know right now, if you don't already know it's in this set. Excuse me. All right, next up we got Zoro Juro here. This is a 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1k counter Straw Hat Crew character. This has been in the game for a little bit. This came out in OP05, but check it out, guys. When attacking, if you have 3 or less life cards, add a Dawn card. Add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. It's like, well, that might not seem very good in this deck because we're a 5 life leader, right? So we have to wait a while, and we want to play this guy right on curve on turn 2, right? It might not be as bad as you think, because imagine this. Imagine you go first, like 1 Dawn, right? Okay, we go first. We pass. Let's just say we pass for the turn. Turn 2, we could play this guy down and attack, or we could attack first. I don't want to go into detail, but attack first, then play this guy down. Then your opponent attacks you. You might want to take it, right? You might actually want to take that hit, and then go down to 4 life. And then on your turn, so you'll go up to 5 Dawn for the turn, right? But you still have 4 life. You can use your leader effect to go up to 6 Dawn, and then attack with this guy to go up to 7 Dawn. So you see how there's a lot of potential there. This card, it does have some nuance to it. It does require a little bit of setup, a little bit of skill. But hey, at the end of the day, it is a 1k counter too, if you need it like that. Okay, so really good stuff here. This is a very solid card in purple, and it's Straw Hat Crew searchable. Next up is Chopper, 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1k counter. This is also from OP05. In fact, a few of these cards I believe were from OP05. Like all of these cards that we just looked at were from OP05. Yeah, oops, sneak peek. We're going to go over that one at the end. All of these cards came out in OP05, just to give you guys a heads up. So Chopper here, Choppa Iman, it says 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1k counter, Animal Straw Hat Crew. He has on play, again, all around that 8 Dawn mechanic, set up to one of your purple Straw Hat Crew type characters with 6,000 power or less is active. So this could potentially allow you to swing for lethal at the end of the game. Swing for 6 with a character, play out your turn, attack, and then stand him up and attack again. Or maybe even if it is that Jinbei card, right? You can swing with this card and then stand him up at the end of your turn with a card like Choppa Iman, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards. Okay. Franosuke, this is just an incredible 2k counter. This card is excellent. Okay, very, very solid. 2k counter, can have rush if you have 8 or more Dawn cards. Honekichi, however you say that. Hopefully I said that right. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. But this is Brook, right? This is a 4 cost, 6,000 power character. Very well statted. Check out this effect, guys. If you have 8 or more Dawn, give 2 of your opponent's characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. That's going to help you fight for the board. But I will say this, he's not the most useful character like you might think. The art looks incredible. I love the purple and greens. I'm not about to go through an art critique right now, but the art looks absolutely incredible on this card. I really love those colors. And the stat line is incredible. But unfortunately, the effect is a little bit lackluster, or at least it feels that way. Okay. Next up, this one came up, another card from OP05. I think this one was as well. Yeah. So when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. This is a 1 cost land of Wano type card, but listen to what it does. It is a top 3 search card for Straw Hat Crew, Kid Pirates, and Heart Pirates. And then trigger activates the main effect. So for 1 cost, you're looking at your top 3 cards. And you can find a Kid Pirate, Straw Hat, or Heart Pirates card and add it to your hand. And put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. Trigger, you can activate this card from your life. Okay, now real quick to clear up any confusion. This is not the 10 cost 12k Time Warp Luffy. This is just a vanilla body Luffy. Notice how it only has 1,000 power, right? But I will say this card is still very powerful. That is the biggest character you can have in the game currently, is a 10 cost 12k with a 1k counter. Let's not talk about Goldie Roger guys coming up in a future set. We gotta save that for later. But currently in the game for us, this will be like the biggest, a 10 cost 12k is the biggest body we've seen up to this point. Let me say it like that. In OP09, things will change a little bit. There's one card that's a little bit more powerful, but not right now. Now, I will say this. I am running this in the list, but I'm going to give a quick sneak peek. There, like I hinted at in the beginning of this card's explanation, there is a 10 cost 12k Luffy that skips a time, or skips a turn. That people call it time warp in TCGs. When you play him, he skips a turn. But it is a secret rare. It costs, it would cost extra. You'd have to get it from outside the deck. But hey, that card goes right in the place of this one whenever you can afford it. Whenever you can afford to upgrade your deck. All right, now this is another starter deck card. This is Usohachi. This is a 3 cost 3,000 power 2k counter. Just remember the other one. He was a 3 cost 4k, right? I'm sorry, we do have to go back real quick. This is the other Usohachi. He's a 3 cost 4,000 power 2k counter. Okay, but he has a when attacking rest of 4 or less. Check out this new and improved one here, guys. This Usohachi's a 3 cost 3k. He's down 1,000 power. Still both are 2k counters. But listen to this effect. On play, okay, as opposed to when attacking, on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards in your field, rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. Veteran players know how good that is. Newer players might not quite understand. Number one, being able to do it on play versus when attacking makes the card 1,000 times more useful, right? Now, the other thing that's very useful is it hits a 5 or less. Most of the best blockers in the game are 5 cost or less. There's a few other ones that are bigger than that. There are a few blockers that are 6 or higher, but hey, hitting a 5 or less for 3 is very, very good, and it doubles over as a 2k counter later. Okay, next up we have Onami. This is a very solid card as well. Again, just absolutely killer art here, right, guys? This art is incredible. 4 cost, 2,000 power, 1k counter blocker. On play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, trash 1 card, and then draw 2 cards. A lot of people are comparing this to like a miniature Queen effect. Queen is a 5 cost 6k blocker with a 1k counter that has on play Dawn -1, draw 2, trash 1. It's just not as good because first of all, this one you have to trash a card first to draw the 2, whereas with Queen you draw 2 and then trash whatever was the worst card in your hand. Because I say that because what if you drew a worse card than what you had in your hand? I understand that's a very rare situation, but at the same time, it is something worth mentioning, right? Even if it is like more of like a not as common of a situation. Okay. So with this card, it is still good, though. It is still a 4 cost, 2,000 power, 1k counter blocker, and that effect on play, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards, you're going to trash a card from your hand and draw 2 cards. Okay, so really good stuff there. Okay, next up we have Sangoru. Okay, this is Sanji, 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1k counter. Check this one out, guys. When attacking, once per turn, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your field, draw 1 card. This card is excellent, okay? It's not broken or anything. It's not busted. It's just a very, very solid card. Playing this down on curve, right on your 5 Dawn turn and saying go, hey, seems good, right? And here's the thing, like, all right, but next turn I'll only be at 7 Dawn. Will you, though? Maybe. You have your leader effect still, right? You might be able to go to 8 Dawn very easily. Okay, maybe, maybe not. It depends on the matchup. It depends on the situation and the board state. But being able to draw a card when attacking for no further Dawn investment, just being at 8 Dawn or more, very, very strong. And he has a 1k counter. Next up, we have another Zorojuro here. This is a 4 cost, 6,000 power body. Incredible artwork. Again, that is like the theme here, guys. They have been doing incredible with this art. And I know in this game there's nothing but good art, but I think you guys know what I'm saying. It's like they're taking it to another level with what they're doing here. Check this out, guys. Straw Hat Crew, of course, on play. Look at 5 cards from the top of your deck. Reveal up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type card and add it to your hand. Then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. I know a lot of red-purple Luffy players might have been getting very excited. They're like, oh, top 5 search on a 4 cost 6k body for Straw Hat Crew. Yes, but it is limited to purple, which is fine. There's a lot of really good Straw Hat Crew cards we've looked at, right? But still, that would have been so nice if they had not limited that to purple. Maybe it would have been broken if it could have got any color Straw Hat. But this card, outstanding, guys. This card is absolutely incredible. Next up, this is the last card, Luffy Taru here. It's like, hey, where's Luffy? We got to have some Luffy in here other than the vanilla one. Okay, 7 cost, 8,000 power, Straw Hat Crew card, no counter, because listen to what it does. On play, Dawn -1, so we have to return 1 Dawn card, right? Excuse me. Play up to 1 purple Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 5 or less from your hand. Remember what I said about 5, guys? That was going to be very important when we were talking about Jinbei. So with that new Luffy card that we just saw, if you play out that card for 7 Dawn, right, and then return 1 Dawn card back to your Dawn deck, you can cheat out Jinbei, or you can cheat out this new Zoro to draw another card, or you could cheat out this Sangoru, this Sanji, to really start getting the ball rolling. So I have to say, guys, when it comes to building decks for cheap on a budget, Any deck that can go wide the easiest, that's the way to go, right? Like that is just simply the way to do it. Because again, this is talking about budget decks in particular. You can't really build the best budget control decks because a lot of the best control cards cost money from other sets. Now, if you have all the money in the world, do what you want to, right? Same thing with aggro lists. A starter deck is typically not going to come with a bunch of like rush cards. You're going to have to get those from other sets and stuff. However, the more mid-range decks where it's just like, hey, I just want to go as wide as possible, those are very much available, and Bandai did an excellent job with this. Hey, it's rare I have to give Bandai their credit, right? You know, I have to talk about how well Bandai's doing. I'm just kidding, of course. They're doing fine with One Piece. This game is showing a lot of promise, but I just have to mention, guys, they did an excellent job with these new starter decks, and I do plan on making like a part 7 of this 6-part series at some point, talking about which ones are the best, how well Bandai did, and you know, explain that, you know, and why. Okay, and that's it, guys. That's it for all the cards. Now we're back to the leader. Let's go ahead and hop into some games on the sim. You know, let's have some fun. Okay, first things first here. We got a game versus Red Luffy. Okay, actually, let me move my face first. Almost skipped a step there, didn't I? Okay, the volume is off. The speed is on 2x. It should be. Yep, sure is. And we're good to go. All right, let's do this, guys. So real quick, let me pause as we get to our opening hand here. I should have done this in the other videos, talk about what to search for, like what to mulligan for. For those who are newer players, you do get one mulligan, a free mulligan every single game, just one. So in other words, if I don't like this hand, you start with 5 cards in one piece. If I don't like this hand, I can send them all back, shuffle my deck, and draw 5 new cards and get another chance at a better hand. I just want to mention that. Excuse me, I just want to mention that because some games are not the same, right? Some games don't have mulligan systems. Some games have a mulligan, like in Magic, where it's like if you want a mulligan, you start with 7 cards, right? Well, if you mulligan, you go down to 6. And you can go down to 5 if you want to as well with a mulligan. But hopefully that made sense. Now, in this deck, I think the card that you want to search for is actually either the 3-cost Zoro or the 4-cost Zoro. And again, we're talking about the deck straight out of the box. Okay, guys? All right. So I do have the 3-cost Zoro. I could have kept that and been fine. Or the 1-cost Searcher. I forgot about the 1-cost Event Searcher. My apologies. Okay, now, they're going to play out a Nami. That is a starter. That is the ST-01 Nami this person is playing. Where it allows you to attach a Dawn to a character or leader, a rested Dawn to your character or to your leader. And the leader, the red ST-01 red Luffy leader, does the same thing. Okay, for those who might be new players, I know the veterans already know that. Okay, so I went second, so I'm going to do a double 1-cost search here from these, and I'm going to get what I need, what I want. Getting the 2K counter here, I like that. I chose the Franosuke there, which is a nice 2K counter for protection. They're going to swing for 7. I think we're going to take this. No reason not to be honest. You know, red. Okay, look. Let me explain that real quick too. When do you know, or how do you know when to take what in the early game? There are 2 colors that can really punish you currently. Things might change in the future. But there are 2 colors that can really punish you in the early game for not countering out early. One is purple. There's a card called Trafalgar Law. We'll talk about that a little bit later in this video, I believe. And the other is blue. Blue has a card called Nami. Not Nami, excuse me. Pudding. Pudding is a 4-cost card that makes you send your whole hand back to your deck and you only draw 5 cards back. So even if you had 15 cards in your hand, it doesn't matter. You're only drawing 5 cards back. So against red, though, currently there is nothing in the game that can really punish you. And for those who are saying, I know a lot of people think, like, what about black? They have Isho. Yes, that is true as well. There are other colors and there are other cards I didn't mention that can punish your hand size. But red just doesn't have any currently. So I'm fine with taking that early and building up my hand size so I can have more answers and I know what to do over the course of the game in a little better way. Okay, and again, guys, I have to kind of explain that to any new players who might be watching. So I go ahead and draw a 4-cost Zoro there, the Searcher, and I think I'm going to base my play around that. Yeah, usually, okay, sorry, guys. Usually you're going to want to swing first before you play a character because there are triggers in the game of One Piece that come from your life. Some of them can KO characters. So if you attack first with no characters on the board, if they get the trigger, it doesn't do anything. However, if you play your character first and then attack, they can KO your character potentially. However, in this situation, I wanted to take the gamble to see what I was going to draw from this character to see if it would change my play to determine if I want to gain a life or not from my leader's effect. Very technical for newer players, I know, but you know, bear with me, guys. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please put them in the comment section below. All right, so I'm going to swing for 6. I'm not going to use my leader's effect because I don't want to take too much life against a red aggro rush deck. He's going to swing for 7. I'm going to give him a 2K, 1K here, or a 1K, 2K either way. And now he's going to swing for 7 more. And right here, I think I give him another 2K, 1K. Playing out that Rob, I kind of want to save that Robin to pop cards on his board, but I'm like, you know what? I have to go about things a different way here. Like looking back, I kind of think I should have saved that instead of the Zoro, but then I ended up drawing one for the turn, right? So never punished. So 6 and a 6. He does not save it. All he would have had to do to save that card was give me a 1K counter, and he chose not to do that. So I'm like, okay, well that was interesting. I expected you to do something there to save that card. So I'm going to play out a 3 cost and a 5 cost here. The Zoro and the Sanji. I'm developing my board. I actually have a pretty decent hand. I have 2 2K counters and then 3 1K counters. So let's see what my opponent decides to do here. Swinging 8 into 6. I kind of want to save it, you know what I mean? For aggro decks, for the more aggressive aggro decks, especially seeing that, like, why did he reduce the power of those characters? That seemed a little bit odd to me. He reduced the power with Brook. That's his effect, the Brook that's attacking my Zoro right now. He has a Dawn ×1 effect when you attack to give minus 2,000 power to 2 of your opponent's characters. I don't know why he didn't put it on my Zoro, and that makes me really want to defend it now. So I'm like, all right, you know what? What if he can wipe my board with whatever he reduced the power there? I'm at least going to try to save my character now. Okay, so then he plays out a Vista. He's probably going to pop. I think he popped the wrong target. Oh, excuse me. He couldn't pop the the Sanji, because he is a 6,000 power character. -2 puts him at 4,000 power. The Vista card that my opponent just played can only pop a 3 or less. Swing 6 and a 6. I can't let him have that here, but this time I am gonna keep the Robin in my hand. Notice that I do want to pop some cards here. Okay, so first things first, I want to swing with my Sanji because he can actually draw a card. So I swing 7 into 5. Let's see if he wants to protect it. He does with a guard point. That's a 3,000 power increase for the battle on that guard point, a 1-cost event. But that's okay. He has no more Dawn now. There's a lot of things I can do. So first, I'm going to swing for 5. I want to strip cards from his hand. Whenever you're playing these mid-range decks, especially with the starter decks, I wouldn't try to rush your opponent down. I would always, always, always try to go for their board. It is the right play. Now, right here, I can actually remove his Vista with my Onami. I'm going to play out Onami, and I'm probably going to play out like a blocker maybe. Yeah, I got that or the Zoro. I like the Zoro play as well, actually, because number one, okay, he does give up here because what do you do at this point, right? I mean, I have a blocker. Yes, he does have some rush cards. He probably quit a little early, but then the following turn, I would be able to just win the game pretty much if he overcommitted here. Whatever the case is, I know that wasn't the best example, but hey, that's just the first one. In this situation, though, I do want to explain something. Okay, right here, he does not have 10 Dawn, right? He is on his 9 Dawn turn. I was able to ramp Dawn with my characters, I believe, right? Let me check something real quick. Okay, play. Let me hit like that. Let me fast forward just a little bit to where we pass to his turn. I just want to see something real quick. Yeah, he has 3, 6, 7. So this will be his 9 Dawn turn, right? So now, let me pause. Okay, he can't play out his big 10-cost character. Everything else in his hand is pretty much irrelevant. Everything in his hand is not relevant into my board. I have nothing but 5,000 power or higher characters, and I have 2 life, so he can't rush me down. I have a blocker if I need it, and that's a 7,000 power blocker, guys, because I am at 10 Dawn. So it's like, okay, what does he choose to do here? Maybe play out the Zoro and smash into one of my characters. That's probably his best bet, by the way, and I think that's what he should have done. If you're a newer player, don't just give up if it seems like, oh man, like look at my opponent's board state, I lose. Well, I know he doesn't know my hand, but he does know I only have 2 cards in my hand, right? Well, okay, in that case, swing 8 to get in. Well, I do have a 2K, I do have a 7,000 power blocker, but still, swing for 8 into one of my guys, so I can't counter out of it. I'd have to give him a blocker and a counter to do that, and then he could play out the Zoro and swing for 8 more. You see what I'm saying? And try to take out another character. And on top of that, he will be able to sit back on these powerful defensive events he has in hand. So he gave up a little early, but that does happen. You know, people do give up in games. Not every player you play against is going to be the best player out there. You know what I mean? That's one thing you have to remember. There's a lot of new players out there. There's a lot of veteran players. You know, you never know who you're going to go against. All right, so we got a mirror match here. Now, I don't know if my opponent is playing the deck out of the box like I am, right? Because this is my last game I'm going to play out of the box before we get to the third game where I make the deck a little bit better. Okay, but let's check this out here. So I go ahead and pass back. I chose not to, so they develop a 4-cost 6K body, very strong. I decided not to play out the chopper on my turn 1 play because I didn't think that was worth it. I'd rather have it as a 1K counter. And I think I'm probably going to use it right here, in fact. Yep. Another thing to consider, guys, for the newer players, when you should take life versus when you should not take life. If you want to ramp Dawn, you should not take life, right? Because you're going to have to take your own life to do so. Okay, so right here, I've decided I'm definitely going to ramp up here. And then I actually drew into a 5-cost character, but I don't know if I want to play that. I think I'm going to swing for 7 here, and I'm going to go for the long game. I'm going to play out my Zoro here, knowing that my opponent's going to take me down to 3 life. Remember? Now, they are ramping up very quickly. They have a very strong opener here. Let me say this. Remember the Zoro that I just played? Whenever I attack, I gain 1 Dawn, but I have to have 3 or less life, or I can't gain the Dawn. Okay, so no problem. Swing for 6. I'll take this one because he can only swing for 5 with his leader now. We'll go ahead and block out of this with a 1K. Give him the Robin. Yeah, because that Robin's not going to be able to pop anything right now. And okay, so now what do? Right? We have to make some decisions here. We have to make some decisions. We'll swing 6 and a 6. I'll ramp up a Dawn. I'm at 6 Dawn for the turn. I get a 1K counter out of my opponent's hand. I'm going to swing 7 into 6 and try to get a 2K counter out of my opponent's hand, and I do. Then I play out my 4-cost 6,000 power Zoro. I get a card in my hand, and now it's my opponent's turn. This does not look good, right? Remember what I was saying in the last game to not give up, though? Don't just give up. It's not a great idea, especially as a newer player. Try to get out of these seemingly unwinnable positions, and it will make you a better player. So he swung into my Zoro. That was the right call. I'm going to counter out of the 7K because I knew he was coming in for an 8K, and then he swings in for 7 again with that guy. That had me sweating right there. And I'm like, okay, so this is not good. This guy drew 2 of his Luffy Taros. I didn't draw any of mine, and I am running them. I'm running 3 in the deck. You know, spoiler, I'm only running 3 of them, but I will show you all the deck list at the end. I swing 6. I swing 6. I'm just eating all the cards from my opponent's hand. But watch what happens here, guys. This is very interesting, and this does come with, you know, learning how to play the game, more, you know, just figuring out how to play the game. But watch what happens here. I play out 2 blockers. Okay? Let's see what my opponent does here. Swing for 8 into 5. Now, I have quite a bit of 2K counters in hand. He swings for 8 more into 5. I'm going to give him a 2K counter to save it with that Jinbei. And I was hoping to bait him into swinging into my Jinbei, but it didn't work. He did not fall for it. He played it very well. So I am going to have to give him my own Nami here. So I counter out of that one. I'm trying to get him to go for game here so that maybe I can win on the following turn if he can't beat me right here. Okay, so let's see what he does here. So he's going to swing in for 7, it looks like, potentially. All right. Just waiting on my opponent here, guys. I'm sorry. We're just waiting on him. Swings for 7. I take it. And now it's like, okay, I've got a blocker, and I've got 3K in hand. So I can get out of a 7K attack. If he does the math just right, he's going to be able to beat me. Okay. Now, right here, he swings 6 into 8. Now, that I don't like, right? That I'm going to have to get out of no matter what, right? Or actually, well, it looks like I'm about to pass. No, I think I should counter out. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a 2K, guys. I'm sorry. That was. I keep forgetting that those Usopps, those are 2Ks. So now he passes turn with an active blocker. And in my head, I'm thinking I only have 1 chance here. We're going 7 at face a bunch of times. That's my only chance. Swing for 7. Swing for 7. And let's see what he does here. I'm going to swing for 7. I'm just like, hey, he's got it or he doesn't. And sometimes in the game of One Piece, that's how it goes. And he didn't have it. Swing for 8. Look at his hand, guys. He only had 2 1K counters left in hand. That's why it's also very important to make sure your deck is run in a way where you have enough 1K and 2K counter support, or you might draw too many bricks in your hand. Okay? But again, notice how that game went. It definitely looked like I was going to lose that game, and I could have still lost the game if my opponent played things a little bit differently, right? However, I just want to point out, don't just give up. Okay, next. All right, now these next 3 games, I am running a list that is souped up a little bit. It's got some other cards that we have not seen yet in this video, like that Trafalgar Law that I mentioned earlier. That Trafalgar Law, let me go ahead and pause this. I drew 3 of them. Okay, I'd rather not draw 3 of them, right? But hey, it is what it is. That 4-cost 5,000 power blocker in my hand, Trafalgar Law, has a 1K counter on the side as well. It is a 4-cost 5K blocker, like I said, and on play, you can return 1 Dawn card back to your Dawn deck. And if your opponent has 7 or more cards, they have to trash 2 cards from their hand at random. Very, very powerful card. And it is a Heart Pirates searchable card with our event. Okay, so we're going to swing 5 into 5 here. Let's just get cards out of their hand. I'm fine with that. I'm going to play out the Zoro. I ramped up. So I went first. And I'm already at 4 Dawn because I used my leader effect to ramp a Dawn, play out my 4-cost 6k body. That is a very, very aggressive character, guys, who can also draw you cards. Outstanding. Outstanding how good that Zoro is, guys. Okay, and now I'm going to pass the turn back, of course. Now it's my opponent's turn. They're going to load up for 2 on their leader to swing for 7. They put a Yamato on top from their leader effect. They draw it. That's a very interesting leader, guys. He's very technical. I'm not going to explain it right now. If you have any questions, put them in the comment section below or check it out. Look it up on the website. Now, I punished him because he had 7 cards in his hand. Remember what I just said, guys. That Trafalgar Law says I can play him out and return 1 Dawn card. And then my opponent has to trash 2 cards from their hand at random if they have 7 cards or more in their hand. So he had 7, no problem. We trash those 2 cards. Now what do? I'm going to swing 6 and I'm going to swing 7. I'm looking back at it, and maybe I should have ramped there. There is a world where maybe ramping was a little bit better there. Okay, but it's a good thing I didn't because he just hit me with a pudding. Remember, guys, the two colors that can really punish people's hand size right now is purple and blue. Black has ways to punish the hand size as well, but purple and blue have the most devastating ones. So how many cards did he just strip from my hand? Notice my hand, guys. I have 8 cards in my hand, and he played out that card I mentioned earlier called Pudding. And watch this. Boom. All my cards disappeared back into my deck, and I have to draw 5 more cards. Okay, so 7 into 5 here. I'm trying to decide if I want to take this or not. I'm like, you know what, that's fine. And then I end up drawing. Then for my life, I triggered the 1-cost event to do a top 3 search of one of my cards. And look what I drew, guys. That is the other 10-cost Luffy I was talking about, where if I play that card, I get an extra turn. Okay, but you have to return all your Dawn cards back. It's a very, very taxing effect, but it's very powerful. So we're going to swing for 5. We're going to get some swings out of the way first, because my opponent only has five cards in hand, guys. Okay, so right here, I'm trying to decide what order I want to do this. We'll swing 5. We'll swing 6. I'm even considering ramping here and swinging with the Trafalgar Law just to keep the pressure on my opponent, because why not? So I go ahead and play out, that's another card to talk about at the end, guys. That card of Sanji, the 6-cost, he's a 6-cost blocker, 2k counter. Very strong card as well. All right, and then I'm going to play, so I played out 2 Zoros this turn. I'm fixing my hand. I think getting the 0-cost is the best way to go here. The 2k counter is the second best one in my opinion, but that 0-cost event in my hand we'll talk about later as well. It is a nice event that can pump, it's a 0-cost 3,000 power counter. Okay. So check this out. He played out a Lin, and I got to make a decision. Do I want to lose 1 life or give my opponent 1 life? I have 0 life left now. I decided I'm going to lose a life because next turn I'm going for a game, guys. We're going for broke next turn, right? Swing for 5. Of course, I can 1k counter out of this very easily, and then they'll swing for 5 more with their leader. I can counter out of this very easily as well. All right, so check this out, guys. What are we going to do here? I've got 10 Dawn, so we're going to swing 5 twice and then 6 3 times, and then I'm going to show you guys that new Luffy, how it works. So swing for 6. Swing for 6. Okay, 1 more. They countered out of that. And now, watch this. I am going to play out, they got a gravity blade, but it doesn't matter. I got the 10-cost Luffy down. You can't quite see it on the far right there. It's a small picture, but I'll just tell you what it does. He is a 10-cost, 12,000 power secret rare Luffy, purple, that has on play Dawn -10. So you have to return all 10 of your Dawn cards back to play this card, and then you get to take an extra turn after this one. All right, so I go ahead and do that. I return all my, and he returns all your characters to the bottom of your deck. Sorry, I forgot to mention that as well. He also puts all your characters to the bottom of your deck as well. Okay, so I got an extra turn. I'm going to swing for 7, and then I'm going to swing for 12. GG. He did not have a way to get out of that. That is a very powerful Luffy to upgrade your deck with if you do decide to go with purple Luffy, purple Straw Hat Crew going forward. Okay, speed 2x. This game is against Jewelry Bonney. Okay, Bonney is a very powerful leader in the current meta, in the game. So knowing that it can go against a leader like this is always a good thing. Okay, they have 2 Dawn. Let's see if they have a Searcher. Typically, Bonney will play out a Searcher on turn 1. There you go. They played out Jewelry Bonney. They did not use it to. They didn't want to use it because I would have attacked into it and gotten rid of it right away. Okay, so I swung 5 into the face, and now I'm playing out my 4-cost 6k. Excuse me, I ramped a Dawn. Now, again, remember what I was saying earlier, guys? Green doesn't really have a way to punish hand size, at least not currently. Things might change in the future, but they don't really have a way to punish hand size. So I'm cool with drawing as many cards as I can this game. And that 4-cost 6k turn is just incredible. Playing that guy on turn 2, if you go first or second, is just so good. It's so nice. Okay, let's see what my opponent decides to do. They're going to use their 1-cost Bonney Searcher's effect. It's tap the character and pay 1 to do a top 5 search for Supernova. Okay, then they're going to swing in for 6 here and into 5. I don't want to lose too much life early because I actually do want to keep ramping Dawn if I can. So right here, let's see what we decide to do. I swing 6 into 1. They're going to tap down my leader. That is Bonney's effect. For those who are wondering, for any new players, Bonney has the leader effect. They only have 1 leader effect. They're a 5 life, 5,000 power green leader. But their effect is pay 1 on your opponent's turn to rest one of their characters or one of their leaders. It has no cost restriction. It can tap 1 of any character or leader. It's very powerful. However, it's not super powerful into a board that is this wide, because they can only tap down 1 character or leader per turn with that effect. However, it's still incredibly powerful, right? I'm just saying it does have its limitations, of course. The best way to deal with it, from my experience, is to go very wide and don't give them the chance to set up. Okay, we'll see if they do. Just waiting for my opponent here. They've got 6 Dawn this turn, I believe. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 6 Dawn this turn. Let's see what they decide to do here. They're deep in the tank because they're in a very uncomfortable situation. Okay, they're going to swing into my Zoro, I bet, and I am not letting them have that. There's a 2K counter for you. We're getting out of that. You can have the Cavendish, bud. We're going 8 into face, and then he's going to tap down my Zoro with the leader effect. He takes the 8K hit to face, and I've got 8 Dawn's worth. Let's see what we do here. They got a trigger with that rested my character. Okay, when I hit them for 8, they got a trigger that rested my 4-cost 6K attacker. Very annoying. Very, very annoying. But hey, it happens, right? It happens. So I still have 8 Dawn left for the turn. Next turn, I'll be able to play out Luffy if I need to. Let's see what happens. I go ahead and ramp a Dawn, and I got an incredible card from the top of my deck in that 9-cost Linlin. That's another card that I'm going to recommend people upgrade to for this deck, because look what it does. Well, you probably can't read it. I'll just explain it. It's a 9-cost, 9,000 power purple Big Mom Pirates type character that has on play Dawn -1 and trash a card. But you're going to gain a life, and you're going to push one of your opponent's 6-cost or lower characters out of the way back to their life. Okay, and I know it might sound bad, like, wait, why do I want to give my opponent life? Because it slows them down. That's why. In this situation, that's all it was used for, and we established a massive body, and we gained the life back that we ramped with our leader's effect. That was just a very powerful interaction. Okay, let's see what they do. They're going to drop down Basil Hawkins here. Okay. Just waiting for my opponent here. They only have 2 Dawn left. They're probably just going to leave it up. Okay, I thought they'd leave at least... I thought they would swing for 6 here. I go ahead and take this. I'm feeling a little bit greedy. They play out a Jewelry Bonney. Okay, that makes more sense why they did not swing for 6 that turn. I'm going to swing for 9. They're going to use their leader effect to tap down one of my characters. Let's see what happens. They'll probably just take this. I think it would be smart to take this because I still have 3 smaller attacks coming their way. They take it. That was a good play in my personal opinion. I don't want to use my 10-cost Luffy here because I already have an incredible board, right? Why would I want to use my Luffy here when my board's already strong, you know? So I'm going to swing for 6. I want them to tap they do. I was going to say, I want them to tap their blocker, their Basil Hawkins, and they do. So now I can do what I want to. I think what I'm thinking at this point is I probably should just go for game. But at the same time, I think that'd be a little too reckless. So we're going to swing 7 into 5. And then I think we're going to... okay, looking back, there's one thing I want to mention. I should have swung 7 into Basil, 7 into Basil. I think that would have been a better play and, get the opponent on the back foot. Okay, but that's all right. We're just going to develop some more cards on the board here. We're going to play this guy out, cheating out the blocker. Yep. So now I've got... I replaced a 4-cost 6K with a 5-cost 6K blocker. And I developed a 7-cost 8K. So again, I'm just going as wide as possible to deal with this leader. Because they can tap me down every turn, right? Do I have it on 2x speed? Is that why this is taking? Yeah, it is on 2x speed. Sorry, guys. Okay, some people play it at a different pace than others. Not a big deal. They have a lot of cards in their hand, though, right? Because, I mean, look at their hand. They have, like, what is that, 9 cards in hand? So it's like, okay, they have to have some type of answer, right? Now, finding the right answer in all the cards you have in your hand is sometimes the hardest part about playing TCGs, right? Because they have so many cards in hand. It's like, okay, well, what is the correct play? What is the best choice I can make here? And, hey, this is what they decided on. They're going to swing in for 6 into 6. I'm going to go ahead and give them a 1K counter to get out of that. And I'm going to... Next turn, we're going in pretty crazy here. So why didn't my Luffy untap? Any of the new character or any of the new players watching? The reason my Luffy did not become active at the start of the turn is because the 5-cost carrot card that my opponent played locks down a 7 or less character for the turn. Green has lockdown control, guys. It's very annoying to play against. So I'm going to swing for 9 first because it's my biggest character into Bonney. Let's see what they decide to do with this. Okay, they tap down my 8,000 power character, of course. My biggest character. That's smart. And I'm swinging in for 9. So what are they going to do? They give me the blocker. Okay, they gave me the Basil Hawkins, their biggest blocker for that attack, as opposed to Uruj, the 4-cost guy on the board. So I'm going to swing for 5. They take it. I'm going to swing for 6. Let's see what they do here. They must have no counter in their hand if they take. Guys, that's crazy. I'm swinging for 6 here. So now guess what? I'm going to pause. Okay, look at their hand. This is why you have to really put on the gas against Bonney. If I had tried to slow play them, look what they would have developed. I know newer players have no idea what's going on here, but those are massive, big, late-game characters, okay? If they had the chance to play those out, I was dead meat, right? I was in deep, deep trouble if they could have. So really good stuff there. Okay, last game coming up here. We got a game versus Purple Yellow Pudding. This is an OP08 leader here. Let me go 2x speed. And here we go. We're off to the races. Purple versus purple. Now, I will say the pudding deck, I don't know what this guy's running, but most standard... Okay, this is not the standard purple-yellow pudding deck, but most purple-yellow pudding decks run like a Katakuri combo to get to 10 Dawn on turn 4. Very powerful, just like how we ramped on. They can ramp on at an even more aggressive rate if they get the right pull. Okay, so my turn. I'm going to swing for 5, and I'm going to sack a life every time here, and I'm going to use that 4-cost 6K every single time. So right there, play it out, and I get to refresh my hand with a 0-cost 3K. Look at all those cards. Did you see that card in my hand? I got 3 of them that were stacked. That was unfortunate because that's a very powerful card we're going to look at in a minute. Okay, they use their Searcher, and they use another Searcher, and they're going to swing for 7. They revealed a Kikinojo and an Amande from their life with their leader effect to ramp a Dawn. I'm going to get out of this attack with a 0-cost 3K event because I don't want to take too much life here. I want to hit them with this, and then I want to be able to ramp a Dawn to go back up to 6. I want to be on like an even curve if possible. Okay, let's see what I choose to do here. I'm going to swing for 7. They will not get Kikinojo if they take this hit because we still have 4 life. That card requires you to have 3 or less life. Okay, my opponent's turn. I pass it back. They use Katakuri to ramp a Dawn. Now they're going to swing for 7. Into my 6, though. Okay, we can't let them have that. Okay, you should use... That's another... I know I've gone across like 4 or 5 different situations now with like when to counter versus when not to counter. If you can save your characters on the board, it's probably better to do that, right? Because number 1, if they're attacking into that, they're not attacking into your life. And number 2, in this situation, that's a 6,000 power character I have on the board. My leader's only 5,000 power. So it's way easier for me to protect a 6,000 power body versus a 5,000 power one. Okay, well, let's just get aggressive here, right? I mean, we've got our opponent up against the ropes. Let's just get aggressive. We're going to swing for 7. We're going to swing for 7 more. And then I think we're going to develop the Zoro. They give me a 2K, 1K. Okay, very good. Very solid. And then we're just going to do a top 5 search and get a Luffy Taro. Now my opponent is on 10 Dawn already, right? Remember, we've been the ones here getting to 10 Dawn the fastest. But this time they beat us to it. Very nice. Very strong ramp there. They get out a 10-cost ace that can gain life and ramp very quickly. I'm going to swing for 7. I'm going to swing for 9. And I'm going to swing for 11, excuse me. Okay, let's see if they can get out of it. Even if they can get out of it, we probably would have been fine there because I don't think they'd be able to win on the crackback. And then we could go for it next turn. But yeah, sometimes if you... I know a lot of newer players like, wait, how did you win so fast like that? It has to do with like reading the board and like seeing what attacks are going through. So I swung for 7 and they let it go. They only had 2 life left, right? So, okay, now they're down to 1 life and I have 2 more attacks. Well, I can still swing for 9, right? And I'll still have 6 Dawn left for the turn if I ramp. So I could still play a blocker. Even if I didn't ramp, I could play out my 5-cost blocker and be completely fine if they counter out of the 9K. And then, okay, oh, they didn't counter out of the 9K attack either, and now they have no life left. Okay, well, now I'm going to use my leader effect to ramp a Dawn, and I'm going to swing for 11 at your face now. And now you have to think about it. An 11 attack into a 5,000 power body, that would require 3 2K counters, right? Wait, let me see if I did the math right there. Excuse me, 3 2K counters and a 1K. So, yeah, that's actually asking quite a bit. All right. All right, well, that's it, guys. That was it for the actual games on the sim there. Let's go ahead and hop over to the actual sim itself and talk about this deck that I was running. So this is the first deck. Oh, yeah, let me move my camera real quick. This is the first deck, guys. This is a straight out-of-the-box beginner deck. And I'm just going to be honest. If you have, like, 2K counter support like this, you have a searcher like this and like this, like the two different searchers we were running with Zoro and the event, and then you have these two cards, Sanji and Luffy. Guys, this deck just kind of ramps. It just kind of goes crazy. I'm a big fan of how this deck comes right out of the box. This might be, like, as far as, like, out-of-the-box value goes for a deck, this might be the best one. Blue is very high after you make a few modifications, like getting your Jinbeis and your Edward Weevils, and it's still very good just right out of the box, but purple might be the best one directly out of the box. I can't prove that. That's just my personal opinion, but the way that this plays, again, remember, you know, there's kind of 3 modes in which you can play any TCG. Typically speaking, there are some exceptions, but there's more of the aggro route where you try to just go face, 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 attack, 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 try to beat your opponent really quickly. Then there's the more controlled route where it's like, okay, I'm going to slow down the game. I'm going to remove their characters with a bunch of KO and removal cards and whatever, and I'm going to win in the late game. But then there's the mid-range route right in the middle, like aggro's on this side of the spectrum, controls on this side of the spectrum, mid-range is right in the middle, and the whole idea is just to flood your board. And this deck, coming straight out of the starter deck, is absolutely incredible at that. It's just absolutely incredible. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go to a locals and just win. Okay, I'm not saying that you're just going to win a locals with this. You might, who knows. But hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to say. After a few quick improvements, let me show you what that looks like real quick. These are the improvements that I suggest. We get rid of the other Usopp. Let me type in Straw Hat so we can just bring up all the Straw Hat guys. So this is the Usopp we're running. Where's the other one at? There he is. This is the OP05 Usopp. I don't think he is definitely not as good as the other Usopp that comes out in ST-18, but I think there's an even better 2K counter we can run over this other Usopp, and it's this card right here. This is Sanji. Okay, it is Straw Hat searchable, right? So we can search it up with our Zoro or our event. And look at this, guys. He is a 6 cost, 6,000 power, 2K counter with blocker. And while you have 2 or more fewer Dawn cards than your opponent in your hand, this card costs 3 less. So in other words, if you just played out this guy right here, remember what he did, guys? Pause and read this if you don't know what this card does. Remember what this did in that game, guys, where I got rid of all my characters on the board. I got rid of all my Dawn. Look at what he does, though. Activate main once per turn. You can pay 1 to add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. Now, does it make sense why this card is worded the way it is? If you have 0 or 3 or more Dawn. Well, if I play this guy out, and I have not used my leader's effect for the turn, when I play him out, I'll lose all of my Dawn. I'll go down to 0 Dawn. Well, now I'll be able to use my leader's effect, right, and go back to 1 Dawn, and with that 1 active Dawn, I can tap that Dawn to use his effect to go up to the 2nd Dawn right on the turn we play him, right? So that's very powerful, because then on the following turn, what we can do, because remember, we get a free extra turn for doing that, we'll go up to 4 Dawn, really up to 5, because we'll use this character's effect one more time, and since we have fewer Dawn than our opponent by 2 or more, or if we have fewer Dawn than our opponent by 2 or more, we could play this card out for 3. A 6-cost character we could play for 3. So we could play out a 3-cost, 6,000 power blocker, and it's a 2K counter in hand if we need it in that way. Absolutely incredible. And here's the other thing. Actually, let me go through one more card. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. This is another card that I added to the deck. And then the same thing with Trafalgar Law. Pause and read this. Everything else was pretty much the same, except... Oh, and then this card as well. So all those 3 I just showed you. Pause and read what they do if you're a newer player. Okay, this Linlin is going to give us more staying power. We can ramp, even though we're taking life away to ramp. Well, if we play this card out, we're getting the life right back and establishing a big body and slowing down our opponent in the process. This card is excellent for what we're trying to do with Purple Straw Hats, even though she's not a Straw Hat card herself. That's okay. Same thing with Queen. This allows us to return 1 Dawn and draw 2 trash 1. And it's a 5-cost, 6,000 power blocker with a 1K counter on it. This card is just excellent. This card is just straight value. This is another card. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. This is the 0-cost 3K counter I was talking about. You have to trash a card from hand, and you get a 3K counter, and it has a trigger to ramp you Dawn as well. This is a very good card. In fact, I would probably say go up to... You might even want to go up to 4 of these and go down to 2 of these. You can probably swap that around if you want to. Now, Excuse me. One more thing I want to mention about this deck. Okay, and if you have any questions, of course, ask them in the comment section below. This deck gets only better in OP09. And, not to mention, there are probably 2 or 3 ways you're going to be able to build it. I mean, there's always more than that, of course, but like 2 or 3 main ways to build it. Check this out, guys. So we already talked about this leader, right? There's also this leader. Pause and read this if you don't know what this does. This is from ST-13, or excuse me, ST-10, excuse me, starter deck number 10. And then in OP09, we get 2 new Straw Hat leaders that are purple. Check this out, guys. This is that Luffy I was telling you about. So here's why I'm bringing this up. Say you really like the way that this leader plays out. Well, guess what? When OP09 hits in about 4 or 5 months, whatever it's going to be, okay, you get to upgrade your leader, not just your deck. We're going to talk about some deck upgrades in a minute, guys. You'll get to upgrade your leader to something like this guy. Check out what he does, guys. Dawn ×1, your characters have +1 cost. That's good for a multitude of reasons. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but that is good for a multitude of reasons to protect your characters from your opponent's removal. That's number 1. Number 2, look at that your turn, once per turn effect. When 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck from play, set up to 1 from your Dawn deck as active and up to 1 from your Dawn deck as rested. So if you return 2 to your Dawn deck, you can return 2 back, okay? Why does that matter? You know, well, number 1, remember what this card does? Returns 10. So he'll put 2 into play, 1 rested, 1 active. You can use the active one to do this character's effect. On top of that, there are some other cards coming out we're going to look at right now. Spoiler warning, the cards we're about to look at, like this Monkey D. Luffy and this Nico Robin, these are from OP09. Spoiler warning. And before we even go to Nico Robin, look at these new cards coming out that will directly affect, even if you stick with this leader. Okay, even if you're going to stick with this leader and you don't want to try out purple black or purple yellow, even if you stick with this, look at what you're going to have access to in OP09. This is a 3-cost, 5,000 power character that has on play, you may return 1 or more Dawn cards from your from play to your Dawn deck, and then set up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck into play as active. So even if you aren't running the purple, so this character is made directly for purple black Luffy, okay? But it can be used just fine in this one as well, because okay, let's say you just return 1 Dawn card. Okay, well, you get 1 back into play active. So it's like this card's only 2 Dawn for a 5,000 power character, and now you can attach that Dawn to your leader or do whatever with it. However, if you choose to decide to return 2 Dawn cards, he will still return 1 Dawn card, and then your leader will return 2 Dawn cards. Okay, do you see how that gets, like, the value starts like really stacking up and getting very, very strong? Another card. Pause and read this. 4 cost, 5,000 power, 1k counter, blocker, Dawn -2. So remember, always keep this effect in mind, right? Dawn -2. Discard 1 card from your hand and draw 2 cards. This card is just a strict upgrade to this one, to the Onami card. Because this one's a 4 cost, 1k counter with a 2,000 power on it, a 2,000 power body. This is a 4 cost, 1k counter with a 5,000 power body. They're both blockers. They both have the same effect, but this one, Frankie's effect is free if you're using the new Luffy. You'll be able to upgrade to an OP09. So just absolutely incredible in that way. We will look at one more card too. I don't want to go through all of these. If you know, there's a lot of spoilers to go over, but this is the last one I want to talk about. Look at this card, guys. OP09, 7 cost, 7,000 power, 1k counter, on play, return 1 or more Dawn cards, so that way you can activate the purple black Luffy's effect. This character gains rush for the turn, and then rest 1 of your opponent's characters with a cost of 6 or lower. For those who are new to the game, just understand that that is absolutely peak, right? That is very, very strong, very solid. He's a 7 cost, 7,000 power rush card with a 1k counter. And by the way, remember, in this kind of deck, it's almost like he's a 6 cost card, because you're going to be using this leader. So when you return, you'll choose to return 2 Dawn cards, because you're going to get the 2 Dawn cards right back, 1 rested, 1 active. So it's almost like he's a 6 cost 7k rusher with 1,000 power, sets taps down to 6 or less, just incredible. And obviously, if you know anything about the anime or the manga, all of these are Straw Hat Crew cards. They're all going to be Straw Hat searchable. They're going to be able to go with Luffy Taro. They're going to be able to go with this other Zoro, this other Sanji. Again, purple looks absolutely incredible. Already in so ST-10 Luffy, this will already be accessible to you. We will already have access to this in OP08.5 when this starter deck comes out that we looked at today. Now, this leader is already accessible, but I would wait if you're trying to get into it for what we showed off in the video for this deck right here. This deck with all these 4 brand new cards or 5 brand new cards down here, these come out in OP0 8.5 in about 2 months for us over here in the West at the time we were recording this. But the upgrades we were looking at for this list right here, a lot of these cards are already available, guys. Like, all of these top cards are available except for Lin Lin, and then almost all of these bottom cards are except the new ST-18 cards. Okay, really good stuff there, and then these will be available in OP09. Again, that's about 4 to 5 months away from us over here in the West. A lot to look forward to, though, guys, in this new ST-18 starter deck. One more thing we got to mention is Purple Yellow Nika Robin. Don't worry, I didn't forget. I almost did. Look at this leader, guys. Of course, it's Straw Hat Crew. 5,000 power, banish on the leader. Pause and read what that does if you don't know what that does if you're a new player. This means whenever you attack their life, they don't get the trigger. And they don't get the card. And then when attacking, you may trash a card with a trigger from your hand and add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as rested. So you'll be able to have a package of like a purple-yellow Straw Hat Crew thing in here. Let me bring up the yellow. There are plenty of yellow ones. I'm not going to go over all of them. But look, these all have triggers built into them. Like this Frankie, like this Luffy, like this Nami, this new Nika Robin card coming out in OP09. Pause and read that. This Onami, you know, lots of really good cards coming out that you'll be able to search up. Or, well, not search up with this guy, but you will be able to search them up with this card if you choose to run it. But here's the thing. If you decide to run Purple Yellow Nika Robin with Straw Hat Crew support, you'll be able to trash some of these cards from your hand that you might not want to use at the time, like maybe this Luffy, if you can't use him properly at the time. You can just trash him and then ramp a Dawn. So very, very powerful stuff going on here. A lot of good Dawn tricks, ways to ramp up and get very, very powerful on the board very quickly. All right, I'm done. Okay, I want to keep this video under an hour. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please put them in the comment section below. Big shout out to all the people who support the channel. Anyone who, guys, if you're just liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, viewing my videos, you're helping me out, and I appreciate it so much, guys. I really do. Big shout out to all the VV Pirates playmat supporters. I hope you're enjoying your playmats, guys. Those are, I'm very happy with the way those came out. I hope you are too. And then last but not least, big shout out to the VV Pirates patron page here. Thank you to everybody who donates to the channel, just helping me out, trying to help out in the ways they do. All right, that's it. I'm done rambling. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Please do not forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. And, yep, until next time, guys. Peace.